Right then, lads, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a brand new video. Ben White has rejected an England call-up for the second time now, and Gareth Southgate has confirmed that there are problems with Benjamin White and the national team, especially the management there, but he says it is not with the assistant manager at England, that is Steve Holland, and he also says that Ben White was called up and he has doors open if he wants to play for England. However, at the moment, it looks like he won't be part of that England squad that will be part of the international break. And also, importantly, he won't be part of the Euros because according to Gareth Southgate, again, he's not one of the players that have been part of the squad preparing for the Euros in the summer. And therefore, it means that unless Southgate leaves, we might not see Ben White playing for England ever again. So the big question for me is, what is going on with this, I don't know how to call it. It's kind of a facade. It's kind of a conundrum. It's kind of it's something I can't really explain. And in this video, let's react to the news that Ben White doesn't want to play for England, and he's been smoked by some people and he's been understood by some people. In this video, I'll try to understand him rather than smoke him because I really don't care about England that much. I really support Spain, and if he was a Spanish player, probably I would be raging because he's such a quality player, and of course England have an injury crisis at the back right now. So in the comment box below, talk to me. What have you made of this situation so far? Why do you think he's not responding positively to the call-ups that he's receiving from Southgate and his team? Do you think there is something in there, or it's just something that has happened and it happens? We are humans, and Southgate has said he's not the only player who has turned down a call-up to this England national team ever since he took over in 2016. Okay, hit the like button, of course, subscribe to the Dame channel as well. Okay, let's start off with a little bit of context. Now, in 2016, and in the Euros 2020 or 2021, if you want to call it that, Ben White, while he was still playing at Brighton before signing for Arsenal, was called up by Gareth Southgate and his team for the England national team, and he responded positively. And in one of the interviews he made, he said, "This is a very big opportunity, and even if I don't play, even if I didn't get the chance to play, just being part of the squad would be satisfying for me, and it would be very, very nice." So he was very happy, and he was he showed a lot of gratitude for being called up, and I think he really was called up for the right reasons. He had a fantastic campaign with Brighton, and ever since he's joined Arsenal, he's not looked back. He's actually had an upward trajectory in career development. So if a player who was ecstatic and accepted a call-up by the same manager, with the same coaching team and stuff, eventually is called up for the World Cup in 2022, and things don't actually go very well. There is a debate there, and there is something for us to talk about there. He's called up for Qatar World Cup 2022. He goes for the Qatar World Cup, and he leaves the camp. Right, and of course stories did circulate around there that he left because they had a disagreement between him and the assistant coach at England, that is Steve Holland. But of course Gareth Southgate, just like we will see, has said that is not the case. So what I don't understand with all this is why no one is coming out to say something, and why everyone is seeming to brew with a lot of fury, and everyone is trying to throw the blame game onto the other side. Ben White, of course, being very quiet, Arsenal being very, very quiet and protective about the player, but Gareth Southgate is trying to show that we are clean, and Ben White was called up and we don't have a problem with him, and therefore if he doesn't want to play for England, you guys can go on and smoke him because that is his problem. That is none of our problem. So in his words, Southgate say that on form right now, I can't sit here and say White doesn't deserve to be in the team. That's what he said, and he said as well that technical director John McDermott had a call from Arsenal sporting director Edu last week to say Ben White didn't want to be considered for the England squad at this time. And he says that is a great shame. He's a player I really like. He's a player we took to the Euros when he was at Brighton and to the World Cup as well. I spoke to him post Qatar after the Qatar World Cup because I wanted to pick him. There was clearly right reticence from his side. Reticence literally here means that we'll just replace the word reticence with hesitation from his side. And of course Southgate says I don't really know why. He also says that but I have to respect that. I want to leave the door open to him because he's a good player and he can make a difference for England, but he's not available to us at the moment. So the only other thing I would say is there is no issue between us at all, and that is a lie. And then he says there is no issue with the England coach Steve Holland because that has been mentioned in articles, and I don't like that. People can talk about me, and I have things get said about me which are false, and you have to stomach that for whatever reason in this role. But I am not prepared for that to happen to a key member of my coaching team. That is not the reason Ben White is unavailable for selection for England. So that's according to Gareth Southgate, and that is his perspective on the situation and what he can tell us and what he can't tell us as well. When I listened to that, and when I really watched the video, and I just read this to you just to provide a little bit of context, it didn't make any sense, to be honest. In my opinion, it really didn't make any sense, because he really puts it very clearly that he called him for the Euros and he responded clearly well, and he called him for the World Cup and he responded clearly well. And then at some point in time, this guy is in the World Cup squad in the camp in Qatar, and he decides and he asks to be left alone to leave early. Okay, by the time, of course, I did report about it, and the circulating story was family issues. He has got a couple of family issues that he's got to deal with. And I said, all right, there's no problem there. Now it's 2 more opportunities for this guy to be called up, or I think 2-3 more opportunities for this guy to be called up, and he is turning them down, and he's not going to be part of the Euros. That is a dream, right? That is a dream for every player to represent your team at the continental level, to represent your team at the world level, World Cup, Euros. That is the dream of every player. I mean, apart from Ben White and a few others that I do not know of, but of course I'll do my research and find out. So, if Ben doesn't want to play for England, and he has wanted to play for England before, the problem has got to be inside. It cannot be outside. It cannot be external, right? Because if it was external, I think Arsenal would have addressed it, because then that wouldn't clash with the national team, right? So I think it would go along the lines of Ben White has a couple of family issues, he's dealing with his family, and therefore he wants to be off. We have talked to him, and we will provide any kind of support that he wants or that he deserves, or we can provide. But it is not family, and it is clearly something that happened at the Qatar World Cup, and that's where Southgate has absolutely shot himself in the fucking back. I don't think he's done this right. I don't think he's spoken about this in the right way. He's tried to throw him under the bus. He's tried to throw Ben White under the bus, and he's tried to protect Steve Holland, which I think is a big mistake. If you want to protect them, you've got to protect both of them. If you want to throw them under the bus, you've got to throw both of them under the bus. But at the moment, it is still very, 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 very vague. So The Athletic yesterday came up with a story, and I didn't really want to bore you by reading a whole story of nothing from The Athletic, claiming that they have a reason, and they know the reason that Ben White actually doesn't really want to play for England. I've also seen a similar story from The Telegraph this morning, and I can confirm they are all absolute lies. There is nothing there. It's about a narration of what's going on. But there is someone who knows something. And when I was reading that Athletic article, it is clear that someone is not telling the truth. It is clear that there is friction between a member of the coaching staff at the England national team and Benjamin White. For whatever reasons, we do not know, and probably we will never know. Or maybe when Ben White goes to another club and he decides to do another interview, or he retires and decides to do another interview, he might do a Romelu Lukaku, sit down with Sky Sports and obliterate Gareth Southgate. Or maybe when Gareth Southgate leaves, we might see Ben White open up. But at the moment, with the powers that be at the England national team, I don't expect us to know the truth very, very well. But at least know there is friction between the national team coaching staff and Ben White at the moment. And you don't expect him to see, we don't expect to see him at the Euros. Because in his word again, Southgate said, he was responding to the question, is he available? And does he have a slot at the Euros? And he said, we want to go with players that are already ahead with us. We want to go with players that have been involved in previous squads, right? Despite the fact that there is an injury crisis, the likes of Trippier out, it's around 8 defenders, especially in fullback areas, that are out for England. And Southgate, he has said, by the time the Euros come, within 12 weeks, we want to go with the players we have been working with. We want to go with the players that have been responding to our tactics and our techniques. And I do really understand him there. I don't think I'm defending Ben White here on the Euros call-up. I think if you cannot put your differences away, or you cannot settle them amicably, you don't deserve a Euros call-up in the camp, because then you're going to have that kind of division. You might have the likes of Saka and Rice trying to lift up the spirits of Ben White, and probably Lewis Dunk as well, because he's worked with him at Brighton. And maybe you might have a split dressing room. So it's better for him to stay at home. And I'm really not sympathizing with England, because if they had a split-up dressing room, that would work in Spain's favor, because we would be favorites as well to win the Euros. So he's not going to be playing at the Euros. I think the question now is, when Gareth Southgate leaves, because I am pretty sure if he doesn't win this, he's got to go. If he doesn't win these Euros, this edition, he will have to leave. So the question is, if and when Gareth Southgate leaves, will we get to see Ben White accept call-ups at the national team? Because that is going to be interesting. That's going to be very, very interesting, right? And that will actually really highlight where the problem is. If a new manager, let's say Jurgen Klopp, takes over England, and he's going to spearhead them into the World Cup 2024? Not 2024, I think 2026. And he's going to spearhead them into the next World Cup, and then Ben White positively accepts his call-up. Well done. Then we will know what the problem is. We will know that the problem was always with Gareth Southgate. But if Southgate leaves and Ben continues to respond negatively to the call-ups, then we will know it wasn't a Gareth Southgate problem. It wasn't a Gareth Southgate, team, coaching staff problem. Probably he's got his own reasons why he doesn't want to respond to the England national call-up. Now, this is, of course, of a massive advantage to Arsenal. It means that after signing a new deal, Ben White, like you can see there, Edu, Mikel Arteta, and of course himself are very, very happy. And he's a player that is really in form. And the risk of getting injured is now alleviated from the national team activities. Of course, now we have Saka and Declan Rice, who are very durable players. I think Saka this season has got a few couple of knocks that have kept him out for a few hours, a few days, and probably a few days and hours. But you don't expect him to be injured for that long. Declan Rice, durable guy. He did suffer a small pain in the back. If that is not going to be a big problem, because it hasn't been all season, then I'm okay with Ben not going for England, because I just want all our players to be fit. And at the moment, Arsenal has so many players that are playing in their national teams. From goalkeeper David Raya, he's second at to Unai Simon at Spain. Then you look at Ben White, who was also called up but didn't appear. Zinchenko for Ukraine, Jakub Kivior for Poland, Gabriel for Brazil, Saliba for France, Jorginho, of course. I don't know if he still plays for Italy. Declan Rice for England. Odegaard for Norway. Gabriel Jesus for Brazil, Martinelli for Brazil, Saka for England. So literally, we have around 15 players who, when fit and available, will be playing for their respective national teams. So if you have the advantage of one of your best informed players staying around and not risking injury and staying fit, then I'll definitely take it. But I can't really say I've explained what is going on, but this is what I think is going on. I think Ben, who is a very, very good guy according to the Arsenal sources and according to the interviews Mikel Arteta and Edward made, I think he had a point of conflict with Steve Olin. And maybe it wasn't that big on Southgate's side, and maybe it wasn't that big on Steve Holland's side, and it was big on the player's side. Right now, we don't know what exactly happened, but I think whatever happened affected Ben White more than it happened the coaching staff at the national team. And that's why he had to leave, and that's why he has decided that for now, at 24-25, he's going to rest the case of playing for England until further notice. There's nothing in there. I don't expect many people to watch this video, and if many people actually do watch this video, I hope you come back for the UEFA Euro. Did I say Euro? Of course, we will cover the Euros on this channel. But you come back for the UEFA Champions League quarterfinal draw, which is going to be amazing. Really amazing. I'm gassed for it. I'm really, really gassed for it. And I'll speak to you right, guys, in the next one.